It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
And a fine Saturday morning to y'all.
It's a very special episode.
It is a very special episode.
We got to introduce everybody.
We do. It's more than me. It's more than Pete. It's more than Steve. We have Kyle and Rob, our Marvel Movie Minute Incredible Hulk hosts, joining us tonight. Or this morning, I guess. Woo! Hey, guys.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey.
Right. Making us wake up awfully early on a Saturday.
That's right.
That's right. Keep the facade alive, Kyle. You're doing just right.
All right, so this is Kyle. So this is the voice you'll be hearing when I'm talking, and then the other one is Rob.
Hey, and hi, this is Rob.
Oh, listen to that.
Did you like that?
Oh, wow. Yeah, see,
welcome to the morning zoo, everybody.
I was going to say, I'll subscribe to that podcast.
That's right.
Yes,
I'm just
you will.
You can, right now. Marvel
The
Movie Minute.
the velvety sounds of my voice. It's like
That's
taking me on
that.
a journey.
NPR, you got to get right up on the mic.
That's right. Hulk smash.
Welcome to Serial.
Oh, that's
Friends of
episode
Tim
7.
Roth.
We did that in episode 7. That's
We did.
exactly.
Ooh, we're getting some
Minute
previews
seven.
here. This is
That's
exciting.
right.
Yes.
This is actually very exciting. As we finished our hiatus episodes, and you guys are heavily into production. Do you want to give us just a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of an experience of your exploration of the second MCU film?
I have become personally emotionally attached to the stunt team.
Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's easy to do in movies
because in
like
the
that.
first 20 minutes, like there's a group of commandos, and like I have studied their bios so much week after week that I know them all by first name. I know what they're going to do in their careers. I know where they are now. I know what their families are like. Like I feel so connected to these guys who usually only get maybe one line. But like I'm like, oh look, there's Al. Oh look, like he's the gunsmith. He does all the weapons too.
Yeah.
And you hear
What you
me,
can't
and
see is behind Kyle is a rack of monitors that looks like all security cams pointed at people's families.
Hey, that's what social media is all about. They're going to post stuff.
He's watching
they really
them.
only have themselves to blame.
and you have me sort of
Oh,
saying,
no.
"Wait, you mean the blue shirt guy, right?" Oh, okay, yeah, the guy in the blue shirt, sure.
Yeah,
He's
because
great.
Unfortunately, the movie does not name them. So there's the commandos and there's the tough guys. Well, they all have actual real human names, so those are the names I'm just using.
That I think, and Andy, I think will corroborate this. That was actually a thing that I think it hit us maybe a little bit later than it's hit you, but you do start to track these faces and like where they go. Like, did that guy die, or did he just duck successfully in this scene?
Right.
Like, that's the storyline you want to pay off in these movies, and it never really does.
Like we had the
And,
guy in Iron Man who went
Yeah.
off with Agent Coulson, and we never see him again. But we have to assume he made it out because Coulson did. So it's those are
Or
the stories.
there's something we need to know about Coulson that he has maybe a little Dahmer
Why did
vibe.
Coulson really want to take him with
Coulson
down the
outed-
dark aisle?
And other mysteries, like we discovered one of the actors who has a couple of lines. He does a good job. Like he was only ever in this movie, still alive,
Wow.
but like this was his one only, and that is going to haunt me. Like why?
Yeah.
Like what changed? What happened? Are you okay? Like do you now have a happy life? Did something terrible happen? Was Hollywood that bad? Like I don't know, but I know I'm going to be thinking about that guy for a
He
long
wouldn't be
time.
the first person broken by the system.
No, not at all.
Well, we can't wait. Are you having a good time?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the most
yeah.
It's a blast.
excellent.
Well, we can't
Well,
wait
we
to
are
start
thrilled.
hearing them. Yeah, it's going to be coming soon.
Totally.
I don't know if we have the first date pinned, but it's definitely soon.
All
Very
the
soon.
artwork is up.
Yes.
So,
Right,
Oh,
you can
yes.
subscribe now.
yeah.
Yeah, head to
Subscribe, it's
marvelmovieminute.com.
coming.
You can subscribe, look it up on your podcaster of choice, and it will be there.
And I shout out once again to Joe Micah Harris, who did once again the artwork for this season, and his terrified faces of you guys in Hulk's eyeball.
Yeah, you'll see our open notes. It's pretty
Oh
impressive.
God, it's a delight to me every time I open the page. I just get a little chill. How good that is. So thank you to Joel. You can find him at I think joelharrisart.com. I'll put that in the show notes. So there you go. If you want to see more of his fantastic work, follow him on Twitter or Instagram. He posts all kinds of things. And weirdly, anytime a celebrity passes away that he's a fan of, he posts an incredible portrait of them. And he's a huge punk fan. If you're into that kind of into the punk scene and you want to see some of your favorites, illustrated in his style, they're great.
Was that you
there you
making a segue, Pete?
I don't need to make segues. I'm okay with a train wreck. Kirk Douglas passed away. What do we have to say about Kirk?
How sad.
What a life, though.
Yeah,
I
really.
mean,
Yeah.
He's, I mean, an incredible actor and also somebody who was instrumental in breaking the blacklist. And, geez, 103. I think he also proved his longevity with all of that. And, I still can picture him standing on stage with his son, Michael, in the, early 2000s at the Oscars, the two of them, and just seeing him still up there, it blows my mind that he was so active for such a long stretch of his career. So that thrills me. And man, just so many movies, and not just stuff I loved as an adult, but I mean, just made me start thinking about 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, seeing Whale of a Tale, and all of that. I mean, just he's been around my entire life. So it's sad to see him go.
Yeah, I also remember they did a parody on Animaniacs where they met Michelangelo, and the person was doing a very clear Kirk Douglas impression. So that's what I was thinking. In addition to all the great film roles, the mark he left on pop culture, that even that in the 90s when he had a movie really popular for decades at that point, still he was that well known that you could make that kind of joke and everybody knew exactly who it was.
And that's a place for deep cuts like that.
Yeah.
Steve, did you come with a list of your favorite Kirk Douglas movies?
No.
Okay, I was wondering. You're the one who dropped
something.
that.
No, but well, you guys covered Ace in the Hole, right?
Yes,
on the show. So again, as I will always point people back to, archived episodes, go check out, Ace in the Hole. But I remember, I think, what was the other one that... Paths of Glory was one that I had not seen. Being a huge film fan, it wasn't until I was actually student teaching European history class, and the teacher brought that in for the class to watch, and I was like, how have I not seen this movie before? Somehow it was a big void that I just overlooked, as I'm, nearly 30, and how had I not seen Paths of Glory before? I thought I got a big gaping hole in my movie catalog. And so I've been trying to, get back into some Kirk Douglas. There was, what was it? The Vikings, I think, that's on the Criterion channel that I just watched as part of one series I was working my way through, and had a great time with that. So yeah, it's just such a long career, and so many things to enjoy. So I think it's just, a great opportunity to go back, reflect on his career, and go discover some films you perhaps haven't seen in his filmography.
And speaking of ones that we've covered on the show, Ace in the Hole, definitely, but also Out of the Past, a great little noir film that he was in too.
God, that was terrific. It's funny, he passed away, and suddenly every movie, I take back everything I ever said negative about the movies that I've watched with him. I'm no longer critiquing him. He was great in everything. Don't worry about it. You can't lose. What else do we have? We missed something, Andy, from last week, and you posted an embarrassed post. I can't believe we didn't talk about this. Do you want to talk about the Dune logo reveal?
Oh, yeah.
It's, what a fantastic logo that was released for Denis Villeneuve's Dune that they are coming out with sometime later in the year. And I'm very excited to see this film. It's one of my favorite sci-fi franchises. And as far as the books go, the films have been a little, they've been all right, but nothing quite as amazing as the books. But with Denis behind it, I'm hoping it's great. And the logo is just great with kind of the four curves that form the DUNE. And then I guess on the lens flare, there will be a lens flare on that last one.
I wondered about that at first. Otherwise, it's going to be dunk.
It was in the right dunk. It's not dumb enough to be a dunce. It's just a dunk.
Dunce, right.
No, but there's a little lens flare in that last one. On the Twitter image, it shows it, and you can see it. So it looks really cool. One more thing to be excited about with that film. Before we jump into trailers, should we talk about this one that you sent, Steve? The one that's like, what is it?
Oh, okay.
As a way to segue into our trailer segment?
Sure, we could do that. And in my YouTube searches for trailers, I came across one for something called The Complex, and it's an interactive movie. And I thought, oh, well, this is great. And so I went to find more out about this film. When is it coming out? All of this. And I end up on a website that basically says, oh, no, this is a game. It's coming to Steam, Switch, PS4, Xbox One on March 31st. And I thought, well, what makes it a game instead of a movie? Because we did have Black Mirror's interactive film, right, on Netflix. What was that, Bandersnatch, right? And so that, Netflix doesn't traffic in games, right? But it was an interactive experience where you got to choose things. And in this one, it's the same thing. And I'm thinking this is in Pete's wheelhouse because it looks like it maybe is like a zombie type of thing with scientists trying to stop an outbreak. I thought this is fun, but apparently because we get to choose things or there's additional mechanisms to this, it's a game and not a movie. So what determines what's a movie and what's a game?
Yeah, are you familiar with something called Quantum Break?
Quantum Break, video game.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the time thing.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
I loved it. And there was like a bug in it on the very last level, and I never actually finished getting out of the main
That
lab.
was one of the ones that really blurred the line, too, because, I mean, you had like half an hour segments that were just pure video. You just had to set down the controller and watch the entire thing. I mean, Final Fantasy gets up there, but this was actually like full, HBO series quality video with actors and stuff doing all this thing. So
not even rendered. Like
right.
it's just
it's full on video. Yeah.
Full on film. Yeah. No, that's a great example. I'd forgotten about that. I worry a little bit. That one was okay because for me, I bought into it because it was a game. And I was ready for the game parts. I worry a little bit about some of these. I never got through Bandersnatch because it just was like I just wanted to watch. When I'm Netflixing, I just turn it on and play. I don't want to choose anything. I don't know. I don't care about that. Just don't make me do that.
Well, at least with this one, I mean, the website says they actually call it an interactive sci-fi thriller movie. So they actually label it a movie. They do say it's a multi-directional story with 8 different endings. So it only has 8. I don't know if that's 8 choice points throughout the whole thing, or just, you pick multiple choices, but in the end, there's only 8 different ways it can end. I don't fully know, but it does say this: real-time relationship status tracking that influences the story as you play, and real-time personality trait tracking that evolves based on your choices.
Oh, so probably more than 8, decision points, but probably more like 8 possible ways for Dan. And Pete's like, no, I'm a typical do nothing Gen Xer. I just want to sit on my couch and just be a couch potato.
Sarmento nails it in one. Yes, that is 100%. You have lost. There are 8 different endings. Then there are 7 different points of exhaustion for me. I am done. Show me number 1. Clue. The best example of this was Clue. That when it was released on video, right? Because the first time you get the VHS and it just plays all 3 endings at once, and I don't have to touch it.
Right, exactly.
I just get to see Tim Curry show me everything.
So that's what you want with this. You want this where it goes through and goes, or it could have happened like this.
Did anyone actually see Clue in the movie theater?
Yes. Yeah. You had to go back and see it different times.
Exactly. Like I saw Ending C, which ends up being the official ending.
Yeah.
Just because
I guess,
Wait, there's like a canonical ending to Clue?
Because when they put on video, then they put them all in order. It could happen like this, but it really really like this.
But this is what really happened.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
And spoilers
That's
for
a great point.
a 30-year-old movie, but like it's the one where it's the Meridian Express thing where like it's everybody had a hand in it.
Right. They each killed one person.
Yeah.
I told you I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
So good.
So if that's supposedly in the works.
Oh, no.
I know.
Jeez.
Just take the same script and just put modern actors in, and I'll be happy.
The game, I don't know if you've played the game at all recently, but even that has changed. And now it's like all hip looking people.
Yeah.
And it's not like, Colonel Mustard. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like his name's Mustard or whatever. But they're all like hip youngsters, like hip 20-somethings.
Hipster Mustard.
And they totally are.
I'm sorry, artisanal mustard is what he would be, right?
But you can also play, you can either play in the mansion or you can also now play on the boardwalk. And so I'm wondering, like, if they redo it, is it going to be like the hipster kids on the boardwalk?
Okay, look, you guys.
In the coffee shop. It's in the coffee shop.
I have to make
there is no coffee shop.
Killed him with the
Come on, it's up in Portland. Portland, there's a bird on everything, and it's a coffee shop bookstore thing.
That's right.
Yes.
You know, though, if you haven't watched Riverdale, that's basically Riverdale every
That's
week.
essentially it. That's right. I have to make a pitch for a version of Clue, though, that is actually like I've always been a Clue fan, but I think they reach peak Clue with Harry Potter Clue, and I know you're going to say that's ridiculous. Stop talking. I won't, because it actually introduces a mechanic that makes the game really engaging on every round, because they have these like you'll roll, and if you'll draw like a Dementor, it's like a dark card, and it will tell you like to adjust an element on that's built into the board, and the rooms will lock, and so you can't get into the rooms, or you'll get locked into a room, and the secret passages will change depending on where you go. And there are coins, like you have points, and if you lose the points before you guess, you're dead. Like you're just out of the game.
Wow.
So it adds like a time limit to the game. I am all in on Harry Potter Clue. In fact, you could remake Clue as a movie in Hogwarts. I'm deeply into that.
But only if you can get locked in a room and die.
I'm all about like Hermione and Colonel Mustard shipping. You know, like she's now a teacher, she's a professor. Colonel Mustard is a peer, maybe.
He's a muggle. He's a
muggle, and then we get to
love.
continue. Yes, the Romeo and Juliet
right.
thing. Oh, this is very exciting, you guys. I think we've really come up with something special.
This is great. I'm looking at the little cards in it now. The suspects are. It gives you choices: either Draco Malfoy, Crabbe and Goyle.
Draco. Yeah, it was Draco.
Lucius Malfoy, Dolores Umbridge, Peter Pettigrew, or Bellatrix Lestrange. Those are the options for the person who did it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, there is no room for redemption at all. Once you're bad in the Harry Potter universe, you are always bad, even when you make the jump to Clue.
Wow. Just a last thing on Clue. If you do want to buy this, since it is discontinued, you got to drop $78.46 over on Amazon right now.
I'm not going to lie to you. It's worth every penny.
All right. I'll be expecting a Christmas present then. That's great.
It's worth every penny for you, not for me. I already have it.
That's right. Oh, wow.
Let's do some trailers.
Let's do it. I'm kicking us off with the trailer. Pete, you snuck the Rocky franchise onto the list. It's entirely possible at some point that I'm going to sneak the Saw franchise onto the list. I do quite enjoy these movies, as nonsensical as the stories get after a certain point. But the Saw films are fun, and lo and behold, Chris Rock is a fan and was talking to one of the producers at a wedding and said he was a fan, and they kind of ended up deciding, hey, let's do a new Saw movie. And so we have Spiral from the Book of Saw, a new film coming out with Chris Rock in it, along with Samuel L. Jackson and Max Minghella. What are these guys doing in a Saw sequel? The 9th one of all? I don't understand, but it's really exciting. Plus, you have Darren Lynn Bousman returning to direct, and I don't know. You don't get Jigsaw, but you certainly get the little spirals that you see in the films, and it has the vibe. So I'm pretty excited that they're coming out with another Saw movie. What do you guys think of the trailer?
It's a good trailer. Like, I mean, the Saw franchise had kind of played out, but like when they put all that stuff together, and that looks like it's a serial killer killing cops.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay. Like, he looks like he really has a legitimate new take on it, as opposed to just like, let's just get a bunch of people in a room and put them in weird helmets.
Yeah. I'm with you. The thing that surprised me the most about this as I pressed play is just how much of a new film it felt like to me. And
exactly.
I say that having not experienced much of the Saw franchise at all, and yet this felt not like a retread. It felt like new faces, new voices in a unique new way. I'm with you. I think it's got a great tone.
Yeah, I'm not. I think I've seen the first one. It's not a genre that I'm a big fan of. But it first I was concerned they were going with like a reboot type of thing, but it looks like they've found a new story to tell within that cinematic universe. So I'm intrigued, particularly to see Chris Rock also has like a story credit on this one. So
right.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what he brings to this, and good talent attached to this. So there's something that drew them to this project, and I'm hoping they found a new way to get into this universe rather than, as was said, just let's put people in big devices and turn them into goo.
I did like the way too that it starts off. I'm thinking, well, this is obviously a comedy or something, right? Like at first,
Chris
Chris
Rock.
Rock. Well, and they set it up with the real funny moment in the car. And then immediately you're like, oh no, this is reels, right? Like,
right.
As much as it's going to be for what they're doing. So I think that's great. It'll change expectations on what you're trying to figure out a way to rejigger a franchise, and this is certainly one way to do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Well, this one's coming out May 15th, 2020, so we can be looking forward to talking about it in just a few months. I know. I didn't even know it was happening.
Well, yeah, first of all, that, but also right in the heat of summer. Like, so they must have really high expectations for this, because you don't put horror movies out in May unless they're really good.
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't looked on IMDb to see what else is coming out mid-May. It's a little before Memorial Day weekend, so they got a little bit of time, but certainly
maybe there's a weird gap in there that
they might be exploiting something that they found. So anyway, that's it's going to be pretty exciting. So
the week before the Barbie movie comes out, so I think everybody
maybe it's counter programming.
That could be the one that they're hoping to knock out. Oh, man. All right,
okay,
who's next?
So what does that mean? I think who was next? Does that mean?
I think you're next.
It's you.
That was very exciting. This is a weird trailer for me because I'm notably not a fan of The Big Lebowski. Controversial position. And so it comes with some strangeness that I pick The Jesus Rolls coming in 2020. This is a spin-off of The Big Lebowski centered on notable bowler Jesus Quintana and based on John Turturro's character in the original film. I am of two minds on this movie. First of all, the trailer. I'm a big fan of Turturro. I really like him. I like the work that he has done. I'm a fan of his movies. He is actually he apparently wrote it with Bertrand Blier and directed it. The Jesus Rolls. It's got some funny moments in the trailer. The cast is amazing. John Turturro, obviously, Bobby Cannavale, Audrey Tautou, Susan Sarandon, Pete Davidson, John Hamm. Oh, Johnny, what are you doing, man? JB Smoove is in this one. Christopher Walken is in this one. I mean, it is a fantastic cast. Tim Blake Nelson's pretty much the Coen crew is in this one. So it looks like some really great moments in the trailer. And then we've got this IMDb star thing here, and we don't have very many people who have seen this, but this is cruising at a 4.5 out of only 251 registered votes. But still, it's not great early ratings for this movie. So I hope not all the best stuff is in the trailer. That's
I have to think that the people who are rating it so low were thinking, they walked into it expecting it was going to be a documentary about people who have seen Jesus on rolls, and they were expecting a story.
The Jesus rolls.
The Jesus rolls.
Andy, I did not even see that. You know what? You are totally on to something.
You opened the door
there.
and you walked right through.
Well, and what that's telling us, Andy, is maybe that should be our next project, maybe a podcast project called The Jesus Rolls, because we know it'll drive traffic.
Exactly right.
At some level.
Well, it could be that now, Pete, it wasn't that he wrote this with. It's a remake of a 1974 French film that was directed by and written by.
Good catch.
Now, according to Wikipedia, it is widely considered one of the most controversial movies in French cinema history due to its vulgarity, depiction of sexual acts, nudity, and moral ambiguity.
And as we know, the French have a fairly high bar for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
For moral ambiguity, like it annoyed the French. Wow.
Yes,
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, the movie's French title is a vulgar French slang term for testicles. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And you can read the plot summary, and it does. I can see where people might say, yeah, this is sort of, you've got some morally bankrupt characters just going on a road trip and taking advantage of people.
Yeah.
So this is him shoehorning himself
the character.
into.
Yes. I want to remake this
French
film,
movie.
but I can build in by leveraging existing IP by bringing in my character of the Jesus, the ball liquor.
I say remaking French films into American films doesn't end well. Like, I'm thinking of Taxi, starring Jimmy Fallon, especially.
Yeah. Yes.
Notable pick.
Yeah.
Or what was the one that just came out with? Why am I blanking on his name? What's his name? Where he's in the wheelchair?
Oh
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
From the Untouchables
With Kevin Hart.
Yeah, with Kevin Hart
Yes.
and
Yeah.
it just that was the French film was supposedly great, but another one that did not go over very well.
Lost in the translation.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
Well, I'll tell you, this one comes out. It's already been playing around the world. Obviously, it hit Rome Film Festival. It's been playing festival circuit throughout the last year. It drops in the U.S. February 28th, 2020, UK March 20th. And from there, who knows? No other great dates.
All right, Steve, you're up.
Sorry, Germany.
Deutschland, Uber alles. I don't think so.
Okay.
Ankala did not make the trade deal.
All right. I'm bringing something a little heavier, I guess. I don't know. This is a film from written and directed by Sally Potter. It's a film that follows a day in the life of Leo, played by Javier Bardem, and his daughter Molly, Elle Fanning. And I would say it might be what JJ and Tommy call a mind bender, because it looks like we're shifting between multiple possible realities with Leo either having fantasies of other lives he's lived, or is he experiencing these other lives, but he's drifting in and out of these different lives or imagined lives that he has. And so we've got his family trying to, come to terms with the fact that he's, sometimes, lucid and sometimes not. So probably not the most uplifting movie, but coming to theaters on March 13th, but with a great cast: Javier Bardem, as I said, Elle Fanning, Salma Hayek, Laura Linney. So sort of heavyweight cast to this one. I have not seen any of Sally Potter's other films. I don't know if it's something that, just have not been drawn to. I've heard of Orlando, way back in the day, never got around to seeing it, but a lot of her other films, it just have not been on my radar. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with any of her other films.
I saw Orlando back when it came out, and it was I was a young college student, and it was definitely not for me. I was like, okay, that was a weird art movie.
What? You're artsy Andy? Come on.
This was early college, I said. Let me reiterate.
Okay.
I was like, what the heck was that?
Before the Laserdisc collection started.
Right,
okay.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I don't
All
think I've seen anything else of hers. I know I've seen some trailers and stuff, and I'm always like, I guess Orlando hit me in a way where I haven't been ever excited about anything else of hers, and I don't know if that's fair, but that's where I am.
Well, what about this one? Intrigued by this one at all? Or
I am.
still,
I am intrigued by this one. I think that there's something with the characters that looks interesting. I'm torn on it, because it also looks like it could just be kind of a fairly straight up drama that doesn't do a whole lot of interesting stuff. If you're right, and if it does end up having kind of this mind bender idea of, which life is he living? Are these different? Is he living one life and imagining these other two? Are each life a possible real life, and he's imagining all the others? There's some really interesting ways you could end up playing around with that. So if they do that, it could end up being something that really works well for me. So it piques my curiosity to that end.
Well, I will say on a far lighter note, though with an odd Laura Linney connection, my trailer is the Mothman Legacy.
Nicely played.
You like that?
Rob.
You like that?
Yes.
Wow. So, so here's the deal. This came up in one of my feeds and stuff the last few days. And it came up because this movie, which the first thing that caught my eye is that they were talking, oh, look, it's the third in the Mothman series. And I went, the third? What do you mean, right? So everyone talks about the 2002 Mothman Prophecies, Richard Gere and Laura Linney, which is basically this, based on this crazy stories of this Mothman-like creature in West Virginia in the 1960s that went about and appeared apparently to 200 people or something. There in 2017, there was a documentary called The Mothman of Mount Pleasant. which was made by this group called Small Town Monsters, and it examined it was the cult phenomenon about what happens in West Virginia every year. There's this sort of festival. It's not Burning Man Festival, it's the Mothman Festival. But anyway, so I thought, okay, that's crazy. The trailer, it's a pseudo obviously trying to be like a real world documentary about all the people and what they've seen. What caught my eye was the trailer is just this ho-hum sort of like, trying to give you this tension. In the last 4 seconds, it ends with one of the most horrifying, terrifying CGI'd Mothman flashes at the screen that I went, wait, that was amazing. So totally got
that's the thumbnail on YouTube.
Yeah, that's the thumbnail. Yeah, the thumbnail on
I know.
YouTube. It's terrifying. But anyway, I just thought this was funny, and it's a pretty decent sort of promo for the little film company that's doing this. This is their Kickstarter just started for it. So the film is due to come out in September, I think September 18th, and this was to kick off their Kickstarter funding for the completion of it. But anyway, it just cracked me up. I was like, oh well, I remember the Mothman Prophecies. That was a interesting Richard Gere movie. So and
you're saying you feel drawn to this movie like
there it comes.
I know there's an analogy out there somewhere. What is it?
I remember the Mothman Prophecies too. It was an interesting movie because I had never heard of the Mothman before. So I've
never heard it. Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like I remember watching the movie and I didn't even know it was a real thing afterward. And then someone said, "Oh, it was based on a real thing." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And yeah, so it's interesting. I don't know. I'm always curious about things like this. So
I feel like it came out kind of in the wake of Blair Witch, where they were kind of doing that, like, is it real? Is it like
yes.
right.
Playing a little coy.
Yeah, I was fascinated with like UFOs and all that stuff when I was a kid, and I had a book that was like, alien sightings, all of these things. And I remember there was a small section about the whole Mothman thing. So when the Richard Gere film came out, I thought, oh my gosh, I'd completely forgotten about this. And it's one of these things where it's like Bigfoot. It's like, is it real? How much of this has just become part of like public consciousness where now it's just become myth and we're going to keep telling these stories over and over again? But I'd say in this trailer, it captured this really eerie tone that I thought, this makes me uncomfortable. I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm like, okay, this is very compelling for something that is, basically Kickstarter. And I'm curious because it looks like a fairly finished product. So I don't know if the Kickstarter is just for distribution purposes. I didn't have a chance to look into it, but it's one that, yeah, although I'm not a big horror fan, the whole, alien, mysterious, paranormal stuff on this does draw me to it like a flying thing. Yes, exactly. Yes.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I've never seen the Mothman Prophecies.
What? Oh, Richard Gere.
It's pretty interesting. It's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I did think this looked. It piqued my curiosity. It provoked a mood of suspense. So I'm in it. I have no idea what the context is.
You got to see the previous ones if you're going to understand the third one, though.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. You can't just jump in here.
You can't jump in. It's like Endgame. You can't just jump in.
Really? It's like Saw. Mothman, Saw. Same.
Same.
All right. Who's left? We have Kyle.
That's
Kyle.
me.
Kyle.
Yeah, so I'm sort of diverging a little bit away from the traditional cinema because my trailer is for the new Disney Plus series. So Marvel Studios has now taken over the television aspect, and so they're basically making these Mandalorian-ized, like movie-esque series. And so during the Super Bowl, they actually put the first footage out of their shows. And so they had footage from the new Captain America legacy show, which would be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then a little bit of WandaVision, and then a little tiny taste of the Loki series. So each one of those and the thing is, Marvel's been pretty good at keeping this under wraps because most of these we didn't even know were filming, and like they're showing stuff out there. They're like fully finished sequences, so they're much farther along than they had led us to believe this far. Because the only footage we got from Loki was Tom Hiddleston put out a picture of himself doing training, and suddenly there's footage like, oh, you're actually like shooting now. Okay, all right. So it was pretty impressive because we've been told that WandaVision was going to be weird, but we didn't know quite how weird it was going to be until they actually showed some of that. They had talked about there's a sitcom connection. Well, in the trailer, we get to see multiple time periods of sitcoms where Wanda is shifting between different ones. There's a very like a I Love Lucy, Dick Van Dyke version. There's a Family Ties sort of a later one that, and we get to see her sort of even one point shifting back and forth between them. So and also the fact that the co-lead of that show is dead. So there's a big question hanging over that is like, how are you going to do a two-hander when one of those hands doesn't exist anymore?
Well, neither does Loki. We've got, I'm assuming within the MCU, we've got significant chunks of time that they can sort of shoehorn either the Loki stories or the WandaVision in there.
Well, the
right?
Loki stories are supposed to happen because he takes the...
Yeah, it's the other Loki.
Yeah,
It's the Loki
he goes
left.
through, right. He disappears in the middle of Endgame.
But WandaVision is supposed to be current because it's going to tie into Doctor Strange 2.
Oh, okay. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, Marvel only tells you what they want you to know. So all this stuff, this is an inside information. This is stuff that was like they said on the stage at D23.
This is
By the way, I have my own Marvel podcast. It's called The Road to Infinity.
Oh,
that's right.
Where Rob and I discuss these
Shit.
things. That's why I'm in the.
Well, Kyle,
right?
I think Kyle was just waiting for me to utter the word multiverse.
Yeah, right. That seems to be the way we're headed.
Anyway,
yeah.
And did I just see that? Is it Sam Raimi that's going to be directing Doctor Strange?
That's the new rumor.
Is that the new
possible,
rumor?
yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
And if it's
All
the
right,
Sam
so
Raimi from Spider-Man 2, great. If it's the Sam Raimi from Spider-Man 3, not as excited.
So you don't think we'll get Doctor Strange hustling down the street and just
that is very much of a possibility.
emo Strange.
Madness is in the title.
That's true.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, if that's the case, I think it's great. Like I think Sam Raimi, old school Sam Raimi is one of my favorite directors. He sort of has lost a step or two in the last couple of years, but I think this will be
directed in a
way.
while.
No, this will be a way for him to really get back on top and really be shoot right back to the top 10 directors again.
Yeah.
I do worry a little bit. If you throw too much money at Sam Raimi, does he lose the thread? Is that the problem with those later Spider-Man
I think he
movies?
has much more of a strong framework here because, like, when Scott Derrickson stepped away from the project, Disney was quick to say this will not change the release date.
Yes.
So it's okay. So basically, our machinery's in place. We're just looking for a new captain for the ship that's already built.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited about these shows. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think, is the first one that's coming out. So I would like to think that they're ready because it's coming out, I think, at the end of the summer.
Yeah,
and
August.
So so I'm excited to see what they're going to do there and kind of following those guys. I'm excited for the Loki one, but I feel like WandaVision is the one that I'm most curious about because of the crazy kind of version that they have, and we have twins, and we've got there's one shot in here where the little binkies pop up, and so I don't know, I'm really curious about what they're doing this one because it just looks so off the wall, unlike anything we've seen. So it really excites me.
MCU.
Yeah,
MCU has a reputation of doing very same, and this doesn't look like anything they've done before.
So speaking of Sam Raimi, the last film he directed. We talked about on the film board, Oz the Great and Powerful. I think that was the film board episode that was nearly as long as the movie itself. At least it felt that way.
That was rough.
That was pretty rough.
7 years ago, 2013. Yeah. Wow.
I had totally blocked that he directed that movie. I regret knowing that again.
So was he just in hiding or was he in movie jail?
No, he's been producing. He's been producing quite a bit of
different, he did. I know he did the Ash and the Dead series and
So, but it will be nice to see him returning to directing. So, Well, those are the trailers, so I suppose we should jump into our lists, which is why everybody really tunes into the show. Over in our Show Talk channel, we posted some choices. Since we had Kyle and Rob joining us, we said let's do something that's a little more Marvel related this week, and the people have voted. And the thing we were talking about are movies that are comic book adaptations that are one-offs. So I guess I get to go first since I picked the trailer first. So for the first one, I'm going with one that is based on a graphic novel that I found. I never had read it. I didn't look at it until after I saw the movie, but it should be an obvious pick for me because, as far as Pete and Steve know, I'm a big Tom Hanks fan. It is, of course, the Sam Mendes film, Road to Perdition from 2002.
Yeah.
Great,
a few times
crime
we get
story,
to see Tom Hanks as a villain, or at least close to a villain.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right. And the art in that book is amazing.
It is. It's a beautiful, dark book, and it's definitely dark. I mean, that's
the
dark
first time
story.
I ever saw Daniel Craig in anything, too. Isn't he the younger brother?
He's in it, definitely, yeah.
He was before Layer Cake, I think.
Was it really?
I think so. I mean, it was 2002 when Layer Cake was.
I thought Layer Cake
around
was
the
first,
same.
but let's see.
Was Layer Cake first? Okay, I know, right in that same area.
Well, it wasn't as early as A Kid in King Arthur's Court, which apparently he also was in. Layer Cake was 2004.
2004. Okay, so yeah. So Road to Perdition was first.
Yep. Yes, it was.
All right. Andy, do you want to play our game? Have I seen this or have I not?
Well, I think you've seen this one.
I have not.
What?
Oh,
you definitely should check this one out.
Yeah,
I think you'd enjoy it.
It's aged very well.
I know. Okay.
And Paul Newman, I mean, he's great in it. It's just a really, it's beautifully shot. Just everything about it is really kind of a stunning story. So check it out.
I'm putting it on
More
my list.
importantly, Andy is down a point in the Has Steve Seen It game.
It's not official.
It's
not official.
Shock.
We're not doing rankings.
Oh. Oh, no. I'm ranking. It's just
really need
Steve
a jingle
versus
for
Andy.
Has Steve seen it?
Ooh, there you go.
That's it. You just did it. I'm making that my ringtone.
Pull the
too.
audio.
Has Steve seen it?
All right, Pete.
Okay. That means I get to go first. And I'm picking this for two reasons. Number one, the art is gorgeous in this one. And number two, I deeply brought this because I'm ahead of Steve. And so I am picking...
Is it a steal?
I'm picking 2005's Vertigo Comics, The Fountain, written by Darren Aronofsky, artist Kent Williams. This is just gorgeous work.
Wait, did that come before the movie?
So this is so fascinating, Steve.
The
story was
great.
he actually pitched. Yeah, he pitched the movie, and he said that it was shut down. Like nobody bought the movie, and so he said, well, the graphic novel is a way to salvage something from the film project. Aronofsky says, I knew it was a hard film to make, and I said that if at least Hollywood F's me over, at least I'll make a comic book out of it.
Oh.
And later, then the movie was then resurrected based on now existing material. So, but if you haven't clicked around through some of the art, it is just beautiful. So even if you're not as crazy about the movie, two thumbs looks like this guy. It's worth clicking around. It's great art and beautiful book. So
it was a beautiful movie. I mean, there was some amazing, beautiful stuff in there.
Inarguably beautiful movie.
I remember when they were putting it together, Brad Pitt was going to be the lead. And so there was a long period where he just kept growing out this scraggly beard. So he would do these award shows, and it would just get longer and weirder. And then, it ended up, he didn't get the job. So it's like all that time, not doing anything else.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to love that movie so much. Right. Oh, Aronofsky, he does it to me every time.
All right, Steve.
Okay, Steve, what's up?
Oh, see, with a panel of five, I'm like, there's going to be so many steals, and so I padded out the list, and then I'm like, okay, what do I do?
Now you've got 30.
I've got some backups, and so I wanted to go with something. All right, I'll start with something I don't think anybody else is going to have on their list because it's not an American film; it's a foreign film, and this is one of our favorite filmmakers, right, guys? Luc Besson.
Oh,
One of our
are you about to say the extraordinary adventures of Adele
Yes, I
Blanc?
am.
It's on my list
Yes.
too.
Oh,
Good
all
choice.
right.
Back up.
This is one that, yes, and it's one of these things where I forget how I heard about this movie, but it's, well, at least the initial release in this, I think the version that was on Netflix or wherever I caught it, or Hoopla or whatever, was PG, and it was just such a fun, like, family adventure. I thought, we don't see movies like this anymore, where it's just fun. A fun, action adventure period piece. And I haven't tracked down the original, graphic novels that it's based on or anything, but it was one that I just thought, I want more of this. And it's when Besson is in that zone and he has fun, it can be really, really great. And this is one that I highly recommend tracking it down. I think it's out there streaming somewhere.
Can you say what the title is again?
The Extraordinary Adventures of Adele Blanc.
Well, I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah,
It
got a
2010.
it got a very small theatrical run.
That's the sort of Luc Besson film that only gets released in France.
Yeah, right.
It's like, was that
Yes.
even released here? Interesting.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But there's a like pterodactyl flying around Paris,
There's a
and
mummy
there's
butler.
mummies. And,
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Good-
So
yeah.
much fun.
It's a fun
Yes.
movie.
Interesting.
And my obscure one gets it's a steal. Pete, put it on the list. It's a steal.
Yeah.
I love
Mark it down.
Yes. All right.
All right. Let's see, Rob, you're up next.
Okay, so I picked an obvious one, but I picked it for three main reasons, and I'm going to say Spawn from 97, the 1997 Spawn film. Here's
Nice.
why, and I mean it hasn't aged well. It was scoffed at when it came out. It lost it made a little bit of money, but compared to everything else, it was weird. But here's the three things. One, what got me into it wasn't even just the graphic novel; it was the action figures. Because back then I was totally into the action figures, the whole line of that, and that's what drew me into that whole story. But the two things about it is, one, in terms of a comic book movie, even though it's a lot of it is garbage, John Leguizamo's performance is one of the most on-note characters from a comic book into live action you will ever see. The clown is he literally nails it. As much as you wish any actor portraying a comic book character would. So it's worth it for that. The second reason why I bring it up is because it's just awesome to know that even if you're Martin Sheen and you could be in that movie, a year later you could be cast in The West Wing. So here's the deal. If you're an actor and you're in one of these ridiculous movies and you think, well, my career's over, I give you Martin Sheen.
Yes.
Because that movie, that 97, West Wing comes out in 99, and obviously casting is done between, he still made it work. He still came out on top. So,
Very true.
Well, and you just dodged a bullet because now everybody's talking about a potential Spawn 2 that's coming.
That's right.
Man,
Well, no, but I think it's wait, now hold on, everybody. Now hold on. Reboot. Obviously, it's going to be a reboot. It's obviously going to be with today's sensibilities. Right?
It's
Am I right?
never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen.
You really don't think so.
God
Huh?
love Todd McFarlane, local boy. We're so proud of him.
Yeah,
But,
right? Exactly.
Man, he's been talking this same stuff for 10 years, and every time he goes another per here, it's now it's really happening. No, guys, no, seriously, it's really happening. It's not happening.
I carry a real torch for this film. I actually like it, and I don't want to ever watch it again because I know that would ruin it for me. So I'm really fine just enjoying my memory of it. I think Michael Jai White, I think he was great.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm count me in as a fan. And you're totally right. The clown nailed it.
Peekaboo.
So,
Just forget about the CGI of Mel
right.
and Mel Bolgia.
Yeah.
That's the part
See,
that ruined it.
stop talking, man. Just stop. I'm
Was it
just
Megatron,
fine.
the voice of the devil, too?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Frank
yes, I
Welker?
think you're
I
right.
think Yeah.
Frank Welker, right?
I'll get you, gadget.
Luckily, then I got Prototype on the Xbox. And that actually kind of satisfied a lot of my Spawn desires.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Who's next?
It's me.
Kyle.
So mine is another obscure one. Did not do very well, but it's about a crack commando unit betrayed by their government, and now they're soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help and you can find them, maybe you can hire the losers. DC. So this is a DC comic from the mid early 2000s. It was The Losers was originally a military comic, and then Andy Diggle they rebooted them as the Soldiers of Fortune kind of thing, and so they came out with this movie. And this movie actually is legitimately great. It is a really super fun action movie. A lot of styles. Zoe Saldana is in it. Jason Patrick is the main bad guy, and I swear to God, Jason Patrick is having more fun in this movie than he has in anything else he's ever done. Everybody in this, and Chris Evans is in it. I mean, like, there's
what is
Oh,
this
God, the
thing?
whole cast is me. Idris
insane.
Elba,
Jeffrey Dean Morgan
it's
is
amazing.
like the main guy.
Yeah.
He's the leader of this group.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in this is really having a great time camping it up and just blowing stuff up. Some amazing action sequences, still holds up. And then it came out and everybody was like, hey, this movie's just like the A-Team. And 2 months later, the A-Team movie came out. It was like the two of them almost just canceled each other out. And like both of them were these really cool action movies, and they both just ended up just totally fizzling out at the box office. But I'm serious. Anyone who's not seen The Losers, go check it out. You're going to be shocked by the amount of people that are in it and how much fun this movie really is.
I've never even heard of this thing.
It's an
Okay.
exceptional pick.
All right.
Yeah.
I remember it being a fun one, but I don't remember it very well. I just remember I've seen it. So that's one I'll have to check out again.
Yeah.
So much better than 600 Grand. Just know
Right?
that.
Yeah. It's one of these days when you throw, and it was probably made for like the catering budget on 600 Grand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, for
right.
my second
Andy.
pick, I'm going with kind of a it's a sillier one. It's very light, kind of a kid animated comedy, but you know what? I had a lot of fun with Over the Hedge. I always enjoyed nuts. No, there are no nuts. That's the squirrels in New York Central Park movie. This one is a raccoon and a bunch of other animals that are trying to get food. He can't get it from the vending machine. He's trying to get it from some people and everything, trying to get over the hedge. And what a voice cast. I mean, Bruce Willis, Gary Shandling, Steve Carell. I still think about his squirrel and like the fast motion that he's always going in, which was just fantastic. Wanda Sykes, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, William Shatner is in it, Nick Nolte, Allison Janney, Thomas Hayden Church. It's just a fantastic cast. And, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I always enjoyed the comic strip of these guys, and I thought they did a great job of bringing it to the big screen. It wasn't one that did well enough for DreamWorks to do a sequel, and so therefore I get to put it on my list.
Them is amazing,
right? Yeah, exactly.
When does DreamWorks ever not make a sequel to something?
Well, here it is, and so I get to talk about it. So, Over the Hedge, my second pick, which sounds like a steal. There you go.
No, it's a huge steal. I'm very frustrated, especially because until tonight, I did not know that it was actually based on a comic strip. Like I've never seen the comic. Yeah. Oh, it drives me crazy. I was very excited about this. That movie we played a lot. So I'm going to go instead with a spiritual sequel to what you're talking about. I guess it would be a spiritual prequel. And that is the graphic novel written by John Wagner and illustrated by Vince Locke, published in 1997, that spawned the movie A History of Violence, or A History of Violence, Over the Hedge 2. This is another one. Like all of my picks were really fresh for me because I'm not familiar with all of the comic properties that all these are based on. So I just spent a lot of time this evening trying to figure out, like, what do these look like? How well do they do? And I'll tell you, this one is another one that's just beautiful. It just is. It's really spellbinding, and immediately, made me want to dive into the whole thing. So, A History of Violence just seems like a good read. Have anybody read it?
No, not read it. No,
I haven't either.
So, that was another one. Totally surprised me. Did not know that it was based on a comic property. So, fascinating.
Very cool. Yeah.
All right.
It was. I guess you could say that was a steal. Yeah, I was going to bring that one up too. Look at that. We co-stole.
Well, tradesies. Aw, that's adorable. We should host a podcast together.
Do you guys want us to leave?
Great.
Or?
All right, Steve.
Okay, Steve.
Okay. Let me just say 2001 Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, there's another one off my list.
Okay. Ghost World. I just saw it again. It was on Hulu, I think maybe a year or two ago. And it had been probably, like 18 years since I had seen it. I had just forgotten how much fun this movie is. And it just holds up so well. Because at the time, it was just an odd tone. I think, well, let's see. I was probably sleep deprived because, let's see. My first daughter was a year old, so I was just not sleeping. And it just was a very unusual movie. But it's one of these that the more I see it, the more I just love every single moment of this film. So Ghost World, my second pick.
Yeah, that was one that I definitely want to watch again because I remember enjoying it quite a bit. And I was looking at pictures of it. I'm like, oh, little Scarlett Johansson. She was so tiny.
Yes.
Her and Thora Birch?
Yeah, Thora Birch,
yeah,
right.
Yeah. Steve Buscemi is,
That was a well done film. All right.
Yeah, good choice.
All right, Rob.
Okay, so I don't know if this was on anyone else's list, but I'm going to keep in with my action figure movies that I loved, and this is and when I say this, you're going to go, wait, what? So I'm going to go with Mystery Men.
Oh
yeah. Yes.
Now,
Blue Raja.
Good choice.
Yes.
Now,
come on.
Here's the thing. I remember that movie. There was Smash Mouth. Remember, right? Okay, all of this.
Yes.
I was so into this movie. This is in the late 90s,
Yeah.
99. I was into there were action figures, and yes, there were, right? So I was totally into this. I had all my friends like, we've got to go see this movie, right? And I clearly, you probably don't remember, like, this movie did not do very well after a lot of hype. And my friends didn't like it, and I was like, what do you mean? It's amazing. I just remember just being Greg Kinnear was awesome in it.
Yeah.
Mr. Furious. I just love
Paul Rubens.
Yeah, Paul Rubens.
Spleen.
Hank Azaria.
Yeah.
William H. Macy.
You talked about Jeffrey
yeah.
Wright.
Yeah.
Talk about, like he, as Casanova Frankenstein, boy, Jeffrey Rush is like eating every piece of scenery that he can find.
Yes.
Totally.
So I just wish it's one of those movies that you wish had done a lot better because it deserves to be remembered more fondly than it is.
Yes.
I will tell you, it's a 6.1 on the IMDb 6-star rating scale that we care about. That means it's barely a guilty pleasure. So you can watch it anytime you want with impunity.
I think I'm the one in the group here that's like, I was never a fan of that one. Yeah. I wanted it to be so much better, and then I was like, oh well. Anyway.
Not only do I
fingers.
share your sensibility, it's a steal. Yeah.
All right, Kyle.
Well,
All right.
Well, anyone who's listened to our crossover episode from the summer knows that I can't go this far without talking about The Rocketeer.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely love The Rocketeer. It was like one of those movies that's a perfect movie that was just put out at the wrong time. Like it is perfect for the era that it's supposed to be set in, this sort of 1940s action adventure thing, directed by Joe Johnston, who would go on to do Captain America, the First Avenger. I could spend the rest of the episode talking about it, and I spent most of the episode of that one talking about it. So if you want to hear my expanded thoughts on it, you can go back to listen to the episode. It's here on this feed. Secret Origins of Superhero Cinema.
all right.
But
Yes, that's right.
That's
Just
right.
a little while ago.
The Rocketeer.
That is a fun one that I need to rent that and watch it again with the kids because they
I
haven't
believe
seen
it's
it yet.
streaming on
And
Disney Plus.
is it? If it is, then I'll
believe
sit
so.
down and do that because I think they would have a good time with it. All right, for my final pick, I was conflicted since one of mine was stolen, so I am going with this option, which I found this to be a really mesmerizing film. It is an animated film based on the author's autobiographical graphic novel of the same name. It is Persepolis, which was a really, really fascinating film about growing up in Iran in the 80s and how difficult it was, particularly for this young girl. And just like the animation style was beautiful, it was just kind of this free-flowing story of like kind of your memories of youth and everything. Biographical, but in a totally different way. I loved the way that the story unfolded and was animated. Just really interesting and kind of eye-opening as far as life in that particular period of time. So that's my final pick, Persepolis. Did anyone else see that one?
I know what you're talking
playing the
about.
game.
I was actually just looking it up.
I've
not
heard
seen
of it, but not
It
seen
was nominated for an Academy Award
Yeah,
for Best Animated
yes.
Feature in
Yes, it
2007.
was,
And it's definitely worth checking out.
Wow.
So I
And
highly
probably
recommend
lost
it.
to a Pixar movie, I'm guessing.
Lost to Ratatouille.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Which I don't have any problems with because I love Ratatouille. It's one of my favorite Pixar movies, but this one is a really great one. It's worth checking out.
That's an 8 on the IMDb 6-star rating. My final pick is one that I recognize is also a guilty pleasure for me in a lot of ways. It is, let's just say the comic. This is one that I actually really enjoyed. I'm not a completionist on this comic, but it is from Mark Millar, and it is a comic that ran from 2003 to 2004. It's the story of a protagonist who discovers that he is the heir to a super villainous career.
Wanted.
It is Wanted.
Yeah.
Yes, it is Wanted, and that's a whole movie universe. In spite of the fact that Angelina Jolie has obscurely, like, ridiculously long forearms in that movie. I don't know why they did that, but it is a movie that I just love spending time in. And I'm relieved for this list that it's only a one-off, but I would see
That's
all
what,
of them.
Timur
Who cares?
Bekmambetov?
Yes.
Yeah, Timur
Yeah,
Bekmambetov.
Bekmambetov. Yeah. I like this. He did Night Watch, which is a great movie.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I really thought he was going to be like the next big thing. Like he was going to get like Louis Leterrier, like that kind of like all our Megaton stuff, but he never really caught on over here. Maybe it was
Didn't he do
his visuals are
the
insane.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter?
Yes.
Is that him?
Oh, maybe that's
Yes,
what did
I
it.
think-
Maybe he's still in movie jail
Yes.
because of that.
That's what did it. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. The Wanted comic and the Wanted movie are very, very different things. But yeah.
Very different. Yeah.
Have you read the comic?
No, I haven't gotten all the way to the end.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, the end is basically like it basically is like punishing you for reading a comic book. It was like,
Weird.
why'd you
Oh.
waste your time reading this? Like, thanks. Okay. Glad I gave you my
Okay.
money, Mark.
You know what? I'm
Yeah.
really fine
Yeah.
just where it is.
Yeah.
Again, like, so Spawn,
Yeah.
never watch that again.
Don't finish-
and don't finish
yeah,
Wanted.
that's right.
Good. I've learned
Don't
two
finish
great things from you guys tonight. This is great.
All right, Steve, final pick.
Okay. Well, because I don't play by Andy's rules, and my rule is I always like to point to episodes on the next reel to get people to go back and watch them. I am going to say to you, we are Sex Bomb, and we are here to make you think about death and get sad and stuff. Because you cannot do this list without this movie, because it is the greatest comic book adaptation ever.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Strong words.
I
No,
showed it to my 12-year-old daughter, and she was like, "Why have you not shown this to me before? This is the greatest movie I've ever seen."
Yes, exactly. So for those that may not know, it's Scott Pilgrim versus the world, and it gets better every single time I see it. I love it so
So
much.
good.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Great
Yeah.
pick. I don't care
I
that
know,
you don't
because
like
if there's
it.
new listeners out there, they need to go back and they need to find that episode
It's a
and
chance,
listen to
exactly. It's a
that
chance
show.
to add that in the show notes.
Yeah, dig into the archives.
And it turns out we've done a handful of these that I did not expect our catalog to actually be kind of full of some of these. So I'm surprised
We'll see.
Well, we'll
Yes, let's
see.
see if it comes
See.
up.
if anybody else has.
All
Yeah,
right,
I don't want
Rob.
to say anything.
Okay, so I flirted with one particular movie, but I would only nominate it for one particular line, which we'll wait and see. It's mentioned later.
Now, Rob.
However, I'm gonna.
Do you have a rule? Are you, because sometimes we have little rules that we set for ourselves. So I'm wondering, is there an action figure related to this third movie? Because your first two were.
No, there's not. No,
Oh.
actually, there's not. Well,
Okay.
technically, no,
Probably
there's
a
not.
Funko.
No,
There should be.
Okay.
There should be, though,
no,
right?
I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna put it on my list because I'm gonna defend it because I love this movie and I've watched it a ton. Daredevil.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because you know what?
Which
Here's the deal.
version? Which version?
this is-
right.
Well, there's
And
only
okay,
one
90,
movie
the
version.
Ben Affleck 2003.
There was a director's cut version.
There
that
was.
Oh,
So-
which
so
version
here's
of
the
that
thing.
movie? Oh, right.
Which was better?
Yeah.
the
yeah.
R-rated director's cut
Agreed.
Okay.
is it's outstanding. You forget. I know. Like, I think part of the angst on this movie, looking back, is one. It's because of how Elektra did. and what happened with Elektra.
Yeah.
Because this movie made $100 million. Like, I mean, above. I mean, it pulled in like $180 million. Like, this was not a failure. It has an amazing cast. Jon Favreau is awesome. Colin Farrell, Michael Clark Duncan. You have a great cast. I think it was a really nice way to introduce this character theatrically. It's just the victim of other circumstances. So I still enjoy this movie quite a bit.
Wow, apparently I need to watch the R-rated director's cut.
You do. It helps a lot because it adds Coolio, and adding Coolio to any project makes things at least 25% better.
No, and it's like 30 minutes more of stuff too. It's not a little bit. It's a lot.
It's a whole case that he's investigating while the movie's going on.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And I had no idea. And I guess it's a guilty pleasure of mine as is.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I know. I actually enjoyed
Mark
it.
Steven Johnson? Like, he did this in Ghost Rider and then just disappeared.
Ghost Rider did it too.
I guess so.
He's in Hollywood jail.
But both of these came out and were pretty big successes, and they just did not age well. They just
No.
Well, he did Christopher Robin.
Oh, did he?
In 2018,
okay.
yeah.
All right, good for him. So that movie did really well.
See, there you go.
It's good.
Yeah.
So Daredevil, this always reminds me of my favorite episode of way back on, what was it, IFC or Sundance Channel? I think it was IFC. Jon Favreau used to have a show called Dinner for Five where he would have people come on and just talk. They would eat dinner, and he had the cast of Daredevil on. So he had Ben Affleck, Jennifer Garner. This is before they were married. He had Colin Farrell on there, and then of course he also had Kevin Smith on there. And the conversations are great because you get into Kevin Smith telling his story about the Planet of the Apes Tim Burton thing, but you can sense this sort of sexual tension between Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner at the time before they get married. There's this flirtation going on, and it's just a dynamic, really entertaining episode to watch if you can find it. I know for a while the series was floating around bootlegged on YouTube, but if you can track that down or use DVD, I highly recommend Dinner for Five. Particularly
I own the box set, as the people who are watching the live stream can see. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. I love Dinner for Five because just the free flowing conversations among actors, directors, writers, and then whatever Marilyn Manson is. I mean, like it's fascinating. I mean, just the weird combination of people they put together and that they come up with. Because it's like they get a lot of old school, like, Rod Steiger and stuff to come sit down with, Colin Farrell, and like what do those two have to say to each other?
I will put the link in the show notes.
All right.
I found it on the YouTube, so that means it'll probably not be there for long.
Right,
Watch
when
it
we
quick.
post it, it disappears in a day.
All right. Last but not least,
Kyle gets to wrap us up.
yes.
All right, Andy. What's my pick? Come on. You know what it's going to be.
I'm pretty sure it involves kangaroos.
It does involve kangaroos.
Yes.
Because I
Thank
cannot end this thing without talking about 1995's Tank Girl. I spent a long time in that thing talking in that other episode talking about it, so I won't bore your ears off here, but I unabashedly love this movie despite all of its flaws. The fact that it even exists is an amazing thing. I mean, like, they should make a whole movie just about how hard it was to get that movie made. This is like girl power before it was girl power. This is it's so bizarre, and it has Ice-T as a mutant kangaroo. I mean, what more could you ask for from a movie?
Not much.
Well, I should have put it on my watch list after our last conversation. I shamedly didn't, but I just did. So I will watch it.
Wait. You haven't seen this?
I know.
What?
I know.
Andy, are you out of
It looks terrible.
Oh. Oh my
But I'll
gosh.
watch it and then we can talk about it.
it.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
you guys.
Oh, it's got.
I don't even know what to
I'm
say
sorry.
right now. Like, I thought that was like, in order to get out of college.
I
you
haven't
had
seen
to
Tank Girl,
watch
but
that.
I'm the only one who saw Persepolis here.
Are you saying you have the high ground?
Apparently I'm saying
Whatever.
something.
No.
Oh my!
Because this one's got mutant kangaroos. It's got
Devo music.
It's got Devo
It's got
music.
Malcolm
It's got
McDowell.
Iggy Pop.
Yeah.
It's a little pedophile
That's right.
creep. And
Naomi Watts, her
let's-
first
Yes.
debut.
That's the first
Yes.
thing that
And
I'm
Lori
interested
Petty
in
is amazing.
everything you've
Amazing.
said.
I have one. I have two movie posters. I have one signed movie poster, and it's Tank Girl with Lori Petty signed it for me.
Oh, nice.
I was almost too intimidated
Wow.
to speak to her
Wow.
because I was so excited about meeting her. And she could not have been cooler. Like, and she's now in her like 60s, still has like white buzzed hair, and is just awesome.
Very cool. All right. Well, that is it. Those are our lists.
That's a hell of a
Yes.
list.
I had one other backup that I had in just in case, and it was Atomic Blonde, which I didn't realize was based on a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
That came on my list. I was guessing if Steve was, I don't know. I guess he did Scott Pilgrim, which is the better pick, but I was kind of expecting him to do Diabolic.
I was thinking about that one too. Yeah, Danger
Were ya?
Diabolic. But
Yeah,
I only
that was
know it from the
another
Mystery
one
Science Theater
to point
episode,
back to.
so I didn't think that would count.
Well, you could also know it from the next real episode.
Shameless plug. Check the archives, folks.
And Oblivion.
I was really
on my
hoping
list.
I was really hoping to ask everyone is, do you think I might find happiness in the animal kingdom? No one had Howard the Duck, huh?
Nobody
No one.
had Howard the Duck. I'm actually, you know what? I thought that was on your list.
Well, that was a backup. That's what I said.
Okay.
I would only bring that up if I could utter that line.
Howard.
Like,
Yeah.
I will go so far.
Oh dear.
Even my hypocrisy knows some bounds.
There's one I was really frustrated by, and that is Push.
Yeah.
You guys remember Push?
yeah.
I remember
Chris
the
Evans
trailer.
Movie. It was Chris Evans' movie. It was like an alt X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually really enjoyed that movie, and I found it was based on a comic, but it turns out the comic was a piece of marketing material.
I almost put
So I
Oblivion on
figured
my
that
list,
crossed
and
the
that was
line.
the same thing. It was sort of like, I want to make this movie, so let's
Yeah.
make a graphic novel so I can sell it. And it was like,
Right.
oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of borderline.
We had a
So-
good number that
Movie,
we
though.
talked about
Yeah,
on the show
borderline.
too. That obviously I didn't want to include, but like Snowpiercer, From Hell, like those were a couple other ones that.
Yeah.
And then there was one I really wanted to include, 30 Days of Night, and then I found out
Yeah.
they made a sequel. I'm like, God damn it!
Yeah,
can't
they did.
put that one in there. So. Oh well, good list. So,
This
so
is a good
next
list.
week
Good.
we're going to do a poll for our guilty pleasures, and since we don't get to have Hudson Hawk on here, we're going to throw one Hudson Hawk list option, one Life of the Party list option, and then we're going to have a I don't know, Russian roulette thing for our third one. What do you want to do, Pete? What's a good option we can throw up for our Hudson Hawk?
Oh no, I'm totally ill prepared. I want to say it has to have something to do with Richard E. Grant. Didn't we decide that maybe a Richard E. Grant over the top villains
Yes.
Buffy, Ball Ball.
series?
Yes.
Yes. So I would be okay with great over the top supervillains.
Yes.
Okay, great over the top supervillains.
All right.
For Life of the Party, do we want to do something involving adults going back to
Back to college.
not just to college, but starting over?
Back to school.
Adults starting over.
Oh,
I don't mind starting over movies. Yeah, that's good.
okay.
Yeah.
Gets us out of school.
All right, and then for our final one, something that
Okay.
ties in to any of this stuff. What's another option we can throw out there from either movie or something for guilty
Or
pleasures?
just
Something
from
about
guilty
guilt.
pleasures. Guilt. Yes.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't want to just do guilt. Well, we could just do guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
I have a
I
hard
thought
time
you were
coming
gonna
up
say
with my
movies
guilt.
about
Just-
guilt.
movies about guilt,
Yeah.
right?
I could do either one of those. I've got a lot of both.
Let's do movies about guilt because I always
Okay.
feel
Okay.
nervous about trying to come up with guilty pleasure movies. And in case we do the series again, I don't want to divulge anything.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So movies about
Spoil it.
guilt. All right.
I like it. Good list. That's
Okay.
the
That was
easiest
easy.
we've ever
All
had.
right,
it.
so that's it. I'll put the list up, the options up on the Show Talk channel over on Patreon. So head over there. You can get your votes in before next week. And what else? Anything else?
Is there any way I can get any cool Next Reel merchandise?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
look
you
at
can,
you.
Kyle. You can go to
Jeez.
thenextreel.com/merch.
Oh man!
You can
if
get
only you
all
guys had a
kinds of cool stuff
Discord
there.
channel, then things would be awesome.
Wait. There's a free Discord channel. If you go to thenextreel.com, scroll down to the bottom, you can get into our Discord channel. Or if you're just willing to chip in a couple of bucks over on Patreon, you can get access to some of our more exclusive channels in Discord.
My God, what a deal.
Also gets you, and it even gets you early posts of some of our episodes.
Including the Marvel Movie Minutes?
Notably none of Steve's,
Season 2?
I don't even need to show up anymore. You guys are great.
Well,
I hear these promos five times every Sunday.
We've done so many of these promos at this point.
Fantastic.
This was awesome, you guys. Thank you very much. And I will tell you, Kyle and Rob, it is so great to be working with you guys. You are welcome on the SatMat anytime.
Thank you.
And in fact, you'll be back. I have faith.
That sounds like a threat, Pete.
We shall see. That's all I got. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.
See you on the Marvel Movie Minute.
Thank you.
Hondo.